In a bustling city where every relationship appears normal but conceals dark secrets, a horrifying murder has shocked the entire community. The victim, a young, vibrant woman, was suddenly killed in a brutal manner, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. As the authorities step in, each small clue begins to unveil unexpected secrets. This journey to uncover the truth is filled with surprises, each step drawing them deeper into the complex web of the victim's relationships. What secrets lie ahead? Who is the real culprit? And what motive led to this shocking tragedy? Follow through to the end of the video to uncover every detail of the case and reveal the truth behind the veil of mystery. The horrifying morning in the apartment complex. November 12, 2010, around 7 a.m., Mr. Zhang Yusun, a 65-year-old man living in Building 14A, Changguan District, Lanshouse City, Gansu Province, had a morning he would never forget in his lifetime. As usual, Mr. Zhang rose early to sweep the Niushan Alley, an area he had quietly cared for over the past 15 years. This was an old, heavily deteriorated urban neighborhood. The narrow, uneven alleyway was barely wide enough for a bicycle or a small motorbike to pass through. Residents in the area often littered indiscriminately, especially at the alley's end, where various types of garbage and old scrap accumulated. In November, the air was biting cold. The sub-zero temperature added an eerie feeling to the alley. Cloaked in a faint mist, dressed in an old padded coat and holding a broom, Mr. Zhang moved toward the end of the alley to gather the trash. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual. He decided to move closer to examine it. Beneath a pile of junk, a piece of fabric was sticking out in an odd way. Looking closer, he saw pale skin peeking out from underneath the rubbish. Mr. Zhang shuddered, immediately realizing the horror before him. A human arm protruding from the pile. In shock, he staggered back and ran into his house to tell his family. The incident was promptly reported to the authorities. The crime scene and the first clues. Upon receiving the report, the Changguan District Police promptly arrived at the scene. The area was immediately cordoned off. The crime scene was a narrow alley about 50 meters long, with few passers-by early in the morning. The pile of garbage, which contained various construction debris, plastic containers, and household waste, had been overturned, revealing the body of a woman beneath it. Her arm, sticking out, had stiffened from the low temperatures, though the body had not yet fully decomposed. Forensic experts made an initial assessment. The body belonged to a young woman dressed in a jacket, shoes, and jeans. Upon discovery, the victim's face was obscured beneath the debris, with only her legs and arm visible. The scattered wooden fragments and materials indicated that the perpetrator had hastily concealed the body without thorough cover-up attempts. When the police inspected the surrounding area, they found a few small bloodstains on a nearby piece of wood, along with some faint footprints on the damp ground. However, there were no signs of struggle at the scene, suggesting this was not where the victim was directly killed, but rather a dumping site. A hypothesis emerged. The body had likely been moved to this location at night when no one was around. This area was isolated, with no streetlights and few people passing by in the evening, making it an ideal spot to hide a body without immediate discovery. The location where the body was found was an old residential neighborhood, established decades ago, with deteriorating infrastructure, narrow streets, tightly packed houses, and sparse residents characterized the area. Additionally, there were no surveillance cameras like those in modern urban areas, making the search for clues extremely challenging. There were no images to capture the moment of the crime or when the body was discarded. Police recognized that the lack of surveillance posed a significant obstacle in gathering information about any suspicious individuals or movements around this area before and after the body was found. The investigation team had to resort to traditional methods, conducting witness interviews and examining physical evidence at the scene. However, gathering statements from residents proved difficult. Most were migrant workers or elderly individuals living reclusive lives with limited social interaction. When the police conducted interviews, nearly no one had noticed or could provide valuable information. No one recognized the victim, and no one recalled any unusual activities in recent days. The lack of clear leads from residents made the case increasingly complex. The discovery of a body without direct witnesses prompted the police to initiate an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Simultaneously, they launched an in-depth investigation to identify the victim and track down the perpetrator based on the existing clues. The autopsy and initial police findings. The case grew increasingly tense as leads remained vague, while the body lay exposed in the cramped space amid scattered trash. Around 7:30 a.m. on the same day, the forensic team from Lansdowne Police Department arrived at the scene, conducting a preliminary autopsy in the Neoshan Alley. Although not an ideal location, this initial examination was crucial for gathering basic information before the body was transferred to the official forensic lab. The victim was identified as a young woman, approximately 25 to 30 years old, around 1.6 meters tall, weighing between 50 and 55 kilograms. The body was found lying on her right side, with pale skin, especially where it was exposed beneath her thick black coat. The skin showed early signs of a bluish tint, a characteristic indication of death in a cold environment. The low temperature at the scene had slowed the decomposition process, allowing the forensic team to analyze markings on the body. When the body was turned, the forensic team noted that the victim was in a relatively natural position, with no strong signs of resistance or struggle before death. This raised the suspicion that she might have been dead or unconscious before being moved to the scene. Examining her attire, the forensic team found that she was dressed in a thick black coat, a sweater underneath, and dark jeans, consistent with the cold November weather in Lansdowne. The forensic team's attention quickly turned to the victim's neck. Faint horizontal red marks were visible, suggesting possible strangulation. While these marks were not pronounced, they were sufficient to suspect strangulation as a preliminary cause of death. Additionally, minor scratches were found beneath her jaw, likely indicating a weak attempt at resistance or struggle during the attack. However, with no major injuries or evidence of a significant struggle, it seemed likely that the victim had been attacked unexpectedly or was already unconscious when strangulation occurred. The forensic team then examined details on the victim's face. Although her face was not heavily obscured by the trash, there were slight signs of swelling, suggesting that the body had been in the garbage pile for about 2 days, dating back to November 10th. They also noticed the victim's lips were bluish, a typical sign of suffocation, further supporting suspicions that she died from airway blockage. The victim's eyes had started to recede slightly due to early decomposition, but still showed indicators of suffocation as the likely cause of death. Overall, there were no fatal external wounds on the body, aside from signs related to suffocation. The forensic experts found no stab wounds, cuts, or heavy impacts, pointing to suffocation as the probable cause of death. However, a detailed examination at the forensic lab would be required to confirm the exact cause. The mysterious young woman with a striking appearance. The victim showed no signs of sexual assault or external bleeding from any wounds. However, during a thorough sweep, investigators discovered a small blood stain on a nearby wooden plank, raising suspicion that this blood may not belong to the victim but possibly to the perpetrator. Another notable detail was the victim's white sneakers, covered in dirt and dried mud that did not match the soil type in Neoshan Alley. This suggests that the body may have been moved from another location. After completing the preliminary on-site examination, The body was transported to the forensic center at Lanzhou Police Department for further analysis. Meanwhile, the police expanded their search around Nyoshan Alley to gather more evidence, while the forensic team prepared for a comprehensive autopsy to clarify the markings on the victim's body. The investigative team examined the victim's clothing and the area surrounding the body, but they found no belongings or identification that would help determine her identity. Local residents did not recognize her. At this stage, gender, approximate age, and time of death became critical data points for police to narrow down potential matches in missing person reports within the Lanzhou area. The investigative team quickly contacted relevant authorities to review recent missing person cases. However, after a meticulous search, no missing reports matched the victim's description in the city or surrounding areas. This absence of matching records suggested that the victim might not be a local resident or perhaps lived a secluded life without close relatives or friends concerned enough to report her missing. Another theory considered was that the victim might have been a temporary resident or a traveler passing through the area, who was killed without any strong ties to the community where her body was found. Upon examining the body, police and forensic experts noted that the victim was not a woman with a simple appearance. Instead, she possessed a bold, distinctive style. Her brightly dyed hair was an unconventional color, signaling a strong personality. She had neatly cut short hair with straight bangs, giving her a youthful and modern look. This hairstyle not only reflected care for her appearance, but also suggested a fashionable, edgy style that stood out against the outdated surroundings where her body was found. Additionally, the victim had long, meticulously manicured nails with intricate designs. These designs were inconsistent, reflecting an unconventional and unique aesthetic, unconstrained by traditional rules. During the examination, police discovered a rose tattoo on the victim's right hip. This discreetly placed tattoo suggested a bolder side to her personality, possibly a sense of empowerment and choices about her body. Upon closer inspection, the forensic team found further notable details: a contraceptive ring, commonly used for birth control, suggesting that the victim was mindful of contraception or wished to avoid pregnancy. In a thorough examination, forensic experts also noted signs of a recent minor cosmetic procedure in the genital area. Although stitches had been removed, the tissues were still in the process of healing, indicating that the procedure likely occurred shortly before her death. To expedite identification, police collaborated with media outlets, releasing details about the victim's distinctive features: her short, brightly dyed hair, elaborately designed nails, and the rose tattoo on her right hip. A forensic sketch was also used to aid identification efforts. While awaiting public and media responses, the investigative team continued exploring new leads to swiftly identify the victim and solve the case. Through these physical and personal details, from her dyed hair, cosmetic procedure, and contraceptive use, the police built a general profile of the victim. A young woman highly conscious of her appearance and personal style, possibly working in an industry where a striking appearance was valued or even linked to the entertainment field. There was also the possibility that she was engaged in a more sensitive line of work. Based on this inference, police expanded their investigation to entertainment venues such as motels, karaoke bars, nightclubs, and underground areas within the city. On the second day of the investigation, a new lead emerged at a karaoke bar called Fragrant Melody, located about 15 kilometers from the crime scene. When the team showed photos of the victim to the bar's staff, several recognized her immediately. Identity and relationships of the victim. According to witness statements, the victim's name was Wang Xiaoqing, 23 years old, who had worked as a server at the bar from early January until the end of July. After leaving, she lost contact with her co-workers. Xiaoqing had a relatively average build but a charming face, catching the attention of both customers and management. Her allure made her stand out, Yet her somewhat feisty and arrogant personality caused some female colleagues to dislike her. As a result, they knew little about her personal life and relationships. Thanks to information from a close female colleague of Xiaoqing, the police learned that the room she rented was less than 1 kilometer from the Fragrant Melody karaoke bar. Hoping to find additional clues, the police immediately headed to this address. Upon arrival, they met the landlord, who mentioned that Xiaoqing had vacated the apartment at the end of July without revealing her next address. Neighbors also reported that she was quite reserved, rarely interacting with others. Judging by her attire and irregular hours, they assumed she worked in entertainment venues. One notable detail the neighbors provided was the frequent appearance of a middle-aged man, around 40 to 50 years old, who seemed wealthy and regularly visited Xiaoqing. They heard her call him a Jian and believed that the two had a romantic relationship. From the rental records kept by the landlord, police learned that Xiaoqing was originally from a nearby province, Shaanxi. The investigation team decided to look into her background further, hoping to find leads related to her family or friends. In her hometown, the police discovered that Xiaoqing had dropped out of school in 10th grade due to family hardships. Her parents divorced when she was young, and she was raised by her grandparents. After leaving school, she worked in agriculture for a short period before deciding to move to Lanzhou to seek a new life at the age of 21. Xiaoqing was known from a young age for her feisty, proud, and somewhat stubborn personality. She enjoyed standing out, refused to tolerate any criticism, and was quick to react assertively. As a result, many people around her didn't like her, and she often found herself isolated. Since her grandparents were elderly and unfamiliar with technology, they relied on neighbors to help whenever they wished to contact her. However, Xiaoqing seldom took these calls, frequently avoiding communication and asking her grandparents only to reach out if absolutely necessary, leading to an increasingly distant family relationship. Most of her relatives and friends back home had lost regular contact with her and were unaware of her situation in Lanzhou. Telecom records, uncovering the suspect's identity. The police concluded that verifying Xiaoqing's whereabouts before her disappearance was crucial to reconstructing her relationships and behavior in the time leading up to her murder. In particular, the police focused on the man named Jian, the individual frequently visiting Xiaoqing's former residence, as noted by her neighbors. Given the complexities of the case, the police decided to broaden their investigation by examining Xiaoqing's recent phone records. The results showed that in recent months, she had frequently communicated with 2 phone numbers ending in 778 and 546, immediately catching the investigators' attention. Upon verifying ownership, police discovered that the number ending in 778 belonged to Wang Changjian, a 48-year-old man residing in Lanzhou. His age matched the description of the man known as Jian, mentioned by Xiaoqing's neighbors as someone who frequently visited her and sometimes stayed overnight. This coincidence aroused police suspicion, prompting them to focus their investigation on Wang Changjian. The police retrieved Wang Changjian's profile photo from the residency database and showed it to Xiaoqing's neighbors, who confirmed that this was indeed the man whom she referred to as Jian. The police promptly contacted Jian to gather information, hoping he could shed light on Xiaoqing's recent life and relationships. When approached by the police, Jian appeared outwardly calm, though his eyes betrayed a hint of tension. Asked about Xiaoqing, he firmly denied knowing her, his demeanor evasive. This reaction further heightened the investigators' suspicions. The police then presented evidence of the phone calls between the two. Confronted with the records, Jian began to show signs of nervousness, insisting that these were merely friendly calls. However, his faltering voice betrayed his unease, leading investigators to suspect he was concealing the true nature of their relationship. Under increasing pressure, and with testimonies from neighbors confirming they had seen Jian and Xiaoqing return to her apartment together, Jian could no longer maintain his composure. He ultimately admitted to lying and acknowledged that he did. In fact, no Xiaoqing. He disclosed that they had a romantic relationship and that he was a wealthy businessman who frequently sought relationships outside of his marriage. Jin confessed that his marriage was deeply unhappy. His wife, Zhou Hongqin, was a demanding, harsh woman, older than him, and came from a powerful family. It was thanks to his wife's family's support that Jin had built his successful career, making it difficult for him to leave the marriage. In an attempt to balance his personal desires and family obligations, Jin chose to clandestinely meet Xiaoqing. This relationship continued for some time, with Jin investing both emotionally and financially in Xiaoqing. However, Jin constantly feared that his wife might find out, as such a revelation would not only anger her family but also cause his own parents to pressure him, potentially leading to a complete downfall. Consequently, Jin went to great lengths to conceal this extramarital relationship, even from the police. Although Wang Chanjian's testimony appeared convincing, the police could not entirely rule him out as a suspect and decided to investigate his whereabouts on November 10th, the likely date of Xiaoqing's murder. The investigation revealed that Jin had attended a dinner and drank alcohol that evening but was not intoxicated to the point of being unable to drive. However, new information from his wife, Zhou Hongqin, added an unexpected twist. Qin claimed that Jin did not return home that night, instead calling to tell her he was staying over at a friend's house, a man named Jiu Ho. When the police contacted Ho to verify this, he disclosed that Jin had not visited him that night. These consecutive lies deepened the police's suspicion that Jin might be involved in the crime. Under pressure, Jin eventually confessed that he had not stayed at Ho's home, but at the Hongqiao Hotel on the night of November 10th. The police immediately checked the hotel, and surveillance footage showed Jin entering the hotel around 9 p.m. with a young woman who was not Xiaoqing. When questioned, Jin explained that the woman was a Mei, a sex worker he had met near a restaurant. Although this alibi from the night of November 10th cleared Jin as a suspect in Xiaoqing's murder, the consequences of his secretive actions were not minor. Jin now faced the potential exposure of his extramarital affairs, especially before a powerful wife and her influential family, which had played a significant role in his career. A new lead from the victim's lover, the emergence of a second suspect. During Jin's interrogation, the police uncovered another critical lead. On October 27th, when Jin and Xiaoqing had arranged to meet at a hotel, Jin had secretly checked Xiaoqing's phone while she was showering. In doing so, he noticed a number ending in 546 that had called her multiple times that day. Curious, Jin saved the number in his phone, and when he had the chance, he called it. On the other end, a man answered and introduced himself politely as Zhang Dezhong, an obstetrician-gynecologist at a women's hospital in Lanzhou. Jin initially suspected Xiaoqing might be unfaithful, thinking she might be seeing someone else. However, upon hearing that the man was a doctor, Jin assumed that Xiaoqing was contacting Zhang for personal health issues. When Jin questioned her, Xiaoqing confirmed that she needed to speak with the doctor regarding some private matters. This explanation temporarily eased Jin's suspicions. However, the police viewed the situation differently. Examining the telecom records, they noted that the frequency of calls between Xiaoqing and the number ending in 546 was unusually high. Their communication had begun in early September and continued up until the day Xiaoqing was presumed to have been murdered. Jin disclosed that during that period, his relationship with Xiaoqing had become strained. He attempted to reach out and reconcile, but Xiaoqing kept her distance, at times appearing irritable or indifferent. Although they agreed to get back together on October 25th, when they met on November 9th, Jin noticed her continued coldness, even refusing to let him touch her. Xiaoqing's unusual behavior intensified the tension between them, and her sudden murder left Jin even more bewildered. With the gathered clues, the police decided to investigate Dr. Zhang Dezhong, who had answered the call from the mysterious number ending in 546 at Lanzhou Women's Hospital. The police confirmed the existence of Dr. Zhang Dezhong, a 44-year-old obstetrician gynecologist with years of experience. Several staff members mentioned that his relationship with his wife was rocky, with his wife frequently visiting the hospital, asking staff about his schedule and behavior, and fueling suspicions of infidelity. Through their investigation, police found that Dr. Zhang commonly used a phone number ending in 338, and no one at the hospital had heard him mention the number ending in 546. Zhang's assistant, Chen Xiaozhou, provided further critical information. She had overheard Dr. Zhang having intimate phone conversations with a woman. The woman's voice was gentle, contrasting sharply with the rough tone of Dr. Zhang's wife. Another noteworthy detail emerged. On October 30th, Dr. Zhang had performed a surgical procedure on a patient named Wang Xiaoqing. According to Xiaozhou, during the preparation and aftercare for the surgery, Dr. Zhang displayed an unusual level of concern for Xiaoqing, distinct from his treatment of other patients. This behavior led Xiaozhou to suspect that Xiaoqing was more than just a regular patient, and that there might be a closer relationship between her and Dr. Zhang. Reviewing the medical records, police confirmed that the victim, Wang Xiaoqing, had indeed undergone a vaginal reduction surgery performed by Dr. Zhang on October 30th. Dr. Zhang's special attention toward Xiaoqing, coupled with the intimate phone calls and the mysterious number, raised questions about their relationship. Could there be a deeper connection between Dr. Zhang and Xiaoqing? And might this link be related to her mysterious death? The police quickly arranged a face-to-face meeting with Dr. Zhang Dezhong to clarify the situation. During questioning, Dr. Zhang insisted he only knew Xiaoqing in a professional capacity as her doctor and that their relationship was purely professional. However, previous evidence and Dr. Zhang's nervous demeanor caused the police to doubt his statements. Blood evidence and the decisive proof. Not overlooking the detail that Dr. Zhang Dezhong contacted the victim on November 10th, the presumed date of her death, the police decided to meet with Dr. Zhang's wife, Ms. Liu. She confirmed that her husband did not come home that night. According to the hospital, Dr. Zhang did not have any night shifts that day, and surveillance footage from the hospital entrance showed him leaving in his car around 7:30 p.m., heading in a direction that did not lead home. Tracking Dr. Zhang's vehicle, the police found that around 9:15 p.m. on the same night, his car appeared on surveillance near Xiaoqing's apartment. Footage showed Xiaoqing getting into Dr. Zhang's car at around 9:30 p.m., after which the vehicle drove off. Although the police attempted to follow the car's route, they eventually lost track of it. This clue intensified suspicions around Dr. Zhang, as it seemed he was the last person to see Xiaoqing alive on the night she went missing. All evidence pointed to Dr. Zhang Dezhong, but he continued to deny all allegations. The police then decided to compare DNA samples from the dried blood found on the wooden plank at the location where Xiaoqing's body was dumped. After forensic testing, the results confirmed that the DNA matched Dr. Zhang Dezhong's. When summoned for further questioning, Dr. Zhang initially remained calm and continued to deny the accusations. But as the police presented the DNA evidence, his composure started to crumble. Faced with undeniable proof, his once steady demeanor began to falter, and his previous explanations grew inconsistent. Ultimately, under the weight of irrefutable evidence, Dr. Zhang Dezhong confessed to being the murderer. The confession of the killer, a fateful affair and a tragic end. Dr. Zhang Dezhong confessed that he first met Wang Xiaoqing in early September at a bar, seeing an attractive young woman sitting alone. He couldn't resist her allure and initiated a conversation. In his unhappy marriage, Dr. Zhang saw Xiaoqing as an opportunity to fulfill both his emotional and physical needs. Their initial encounter quickly led them to a hotel, and their relationship swiftly grew intimate. Dr. Zhang lavished Xiaoqing with attention, providing not only emotional but also financial support. On October 30th, Dr. Zhang performed the vaginal reduction surgery for Xiaoqing, as per their prior arrangement. For him, this surgery was not just a routine procedure but a unique way to express his affection for her. However, on November 9th, Xiaoqing suddenly asked to end their relationship, leaving Dr. Zhang bewildered and furious. He tried to reach out to her, but she refused to respond. On November 10th, after multiple rejections of his calls, Xiaoqing finally agreed to meet Dr. Zhang Dezhong to have a final conversation. That evening, after leaving the hospital, Dr. Zhang picked her up. In the car, he pressed her to explain her reasons for ending the relationship. Initially, Xiaoqing cited family objections and Zhang's busy schedule, but he rejected these excuses. Finally, she revealed she had found another, wealthier man who was willing to do anything for her. This statement struck a heavy blow to Zhang's pride. Despite the hurt, he still tried to plead with her to reconsider, but Xiaoqing coldly laughed and said that she had only used him to get a free surgery. Before stepping out of the car, Xiaoqing emphasized that Zhang had only been a placeholder, while her relationship with her other lover was strained. She explained that the delay in ending things was because she wanted to wait until her surgery was complete. Her final words were more than Zhang could bear. In a fit of rage and frustration, he drove after her, unable to hold back any longer. He stopped the car, dragged her back inside forcefully, and when she tried to resist, he strangled her in a panic. By the time he realized what he had done, Xiaoqing had already passed away. In shock and fear, Zhang attempted to dispose of the body. Since he was far from the city outskirts, he decided to take the body to an impoverished residential area where he had previously treated patients. While burying her in a pile of trash, Zhang accidentally cut his hand on a piece of glass, leaving a bloodstain at the scene, the critical piece of evidence the police had collected. Regarding the phone number ending in 546, Zhang explained that it was a private number he used exclusively for communicating with Xiaoqing. Out of habit, whenever he answered calls, he would introduce himself by name, profession, and workplace. This habit had provided the key lead for the police to identify him based on the call Jian had mentioned. Following Zhang Dezhong's confession, the police conducted a deeper investigation and confirmed that Xiaoqing's relationship with Zhang began during a period when she and Jian had briefly broken up. When she resumed her relationship with Jian, she continued seeing Zhang, effectively leading a double life. The surgery on October 30th was the reason she had kept her distance from Jian during their November 9th meeting, as she needed to follow Zhang's advice to refrain from certain activities to allow the wound to heal. Dr. Zhang Dezhong was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional murder and disposal of the body. This case has sparked much reflection on the complexities of human relationships and the consequences when connections are not built on honesty and mutual understanding. It highlights the pain and insecurity both the victim and perpetrator endured, underscoring that impulsive decisions made in moments of anger can lead to irreversible consequences. This incident serves as a reminder of the importance of communication and understanding in relationships and warns us about the harm that deceit and exploitation can cause. What are your thoughts on the perpetrator and victim in today's case? Please leave a comment below to join the discussion. Don't forget to like, subscribe to Decoder Box, and stay tuned for more gripping cases from around the world. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.